Okay guys, so here's what everyone's been waiting for, the comparison between DX09 and MMS693 or 90, yeah, MMS693. Old versus new. And I gotta tell you, there's some things to discuss. First of all, these both use a lot of similar parts. They really do. The boots are the same. The suit overall is the same. The gloves, the hands, the gauntlets, even the belt, all the same. Now, the differences, let's go to the belt real quick. If you look at the belt is the same mold, even though there's a color variation. The new one is a little lighter. It's a little more of that pale yellow, whereas the old one has more of a mustard yellow. And the old one also has a little bit of pitting around the belt buckle. You see the little dark edges and weathering throughout the little line work of the buckle right there. Whereas on the new one, it's completely clean. Now, one of the biggest difference, well, that's the belt, but one of the biggest difference in the suit, and a lot of people in the community made a big deal about this last week, and that was the actual little, the little wrinkles throughout the abdomen section there. The new one has it, the old one does not. Honestly, it's not really a big deal to me personally, especially when you have it in hand, but I can understand how on camera it can be a little disjarring seeing it, but in hand, it really doesn't make a difference. Going to the symbols now, the emblems, the bat emblems. The old one has a more round circle version of the bat logo, bat emblem or logo, however you want to say it, the bat emblem. And the tail doesn't go all the way down. Whereas on the new one, it's a little more of that pale yellow. It's more oval, it's a little smaller, and the tail does go down, which is pretty much more accurate to what we saw on film. I think those portions are much more accurate than the DX09. Other thing we want to talk about is the capes. The capes, oh my God, are night and day. The old one's cape is a fucking trash bag. I'm gonna tell you, it is terrible. And yes, this is not a Jackson Drew cape. You already know that. This is the actual cape that came with it. And this thing is horrible. It is terrible. You can't get it to like fold over or anything. I mean, just look at that. Like it just. Oh man, I'm not even gonna try. It's really crap. Whereas the new one, it's beautiful. It folds really good all over the figure. It drapes really well. It has a wire in it and all that going for it. It has a real smooth, velvety type of texture to it, and it's just really good. But yeah, that is the difference. Now, the biggest difference, which I know a lot of you can probably already see, and we're gonna move the camera up just a tad bit. I know that's crude pulling it up like that on camera, but that's just what it is. The head sculpts. Okay, looking at those sculpts, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta say it. DX09 remains a grail and has a better likeness to Michael Keaton than the new MMS693 does. Yes, the MMS693 has a good sculpt, and I can see Michael Keaton in it. Yes, I can, but it just cannot compare to the likeness of the DX09. The DX09 has a strong resemblance to Michael Keaton, a real strong one, and that's just what it is. The cowl themselves are completely different if you look at them. The cowl from DX09 is a little bit bigger and a little wider, as it should be for the accuracy to what we saw on film. The new one fits very well and is well fitted and just looks good. And yes, does look like an 89 cowl. In some scenes, it did look just like this in some scenes. But it's just not as accurate to my eye as the DX09s. The DX09 looks, it just looks like what we saw on film. The new one, it looks great. Even the painting of the jawline and of the mouth plate is HD painting. It's well painted, way better painting than the DX09s. but the overall sculpt work of the DX09 is just way better. It just is. It just is. So for all of you that were thinking of canceling your pre-orders and keeping your DX09, you may have had a good idea yet if you really hooked on that likeness to Michael Keaton. As I said before, the new one has great likeness to Michael Keaton. It just doesn't it just doesn't nail it like the DX09 does. The DX09, as you can see it is kicking ass. It is kicking ass, and it just looks that damn good. But that is the comparison of the two. Overall, I still think they are both great figures. I mean, you can't go bad with either one, honestly. But the DX09 has a better sculpt for damn sure. But the new one, the MMS693, is overall a better figure. It just is. You get ratcheted joints in the body, the cape drapes much better, and that's just what it is. But when it comes down to the likeness of Michael Keaton, that DX09 is kicking ass.